He stumped him. He stumped him. He stumped him. Nice block. Wow. Great penetration. Surge through the middle of that. Michigan State first and goal. Yeah. Outstanding play.
Start out by saying that was a poor coaching job and the team wasn't ready to play. We got punked from the very beginning. Give Wisconsin a lot of credit. Came in here after losing a game, and I thought they played hard as hell the first half. I thought we were very, 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 very soft and very, very, very stood around. Now, all that being said, they had 2 shots at the end of the shot clock, right at the buzzer, 2 threes. In the second half, played a little better, but there were plays down the stretch where they got 2 offensive rebounds, one after a timeout they hit a 3. We had the ball right in front of us, didn't get it. The other one they hit a 2, and that's 5 points there and 6 points in the threes. And then we had 2 critical turnovers when we were down 1 and didn't even get a shot. So we got what we deserved, and I just get credit for doing a good job sometimes. I should get blamed for doing a bad job, because that to me was not a very well coached team tonight. So I'm taking full responsibility. Not talking about any players, but I'll talk to you about any questions you have. Yeah, if it bothers them enough, you can always do that. But they're right now, we've got to get better leadership, and we have to get better toughness. We out-rebound them by 1. But when we had needed critical rebounds down the stretch, we just couldn't come up with them. And give them credit, they did. When they needed to make critical shots, they hit 2 layups at the end. They'd have probably shot 44% for the game, 33 from the 3. Not outstanding numbers. They had 7 turnovers. We had 12. That's not ridiculous for us, although those 2 late cost us a chance. We just didn't... We got to figure out how we're going to get a little tougher, and I haven't had many teams that I had to worry about that with, but I got to worry about that with this team, because you saw it, you watched it. I thought every loose ball they got, I thought every loose ball at Rutgers they got. And is it fixable? Yeah, it's fixable. It's always fixable, but we got to do a much, much, much better job. So we'll go to work on it, I promise you that.
Good evening. You are watching Inside the Locker Room. I am your co-host, Brian Mosallam, along with my co-host, the Honorable Jason Strayhorn. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I love the new digs, like the gear you got. Little swag.
I got some swag here. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know. It's a Star Wars hookup.
Star Wars? Are you kidding me?
It looks good,
This
man.
is the Mel Fitz edition of, what's that show called?
Star Wars.
The
trilogy. Return of the Jedi.
Close.
There we go.
Anyway.
That was a good movie.
Anyway, how are you, Jason? You doing okay?
I'm doing all right, man.
I'm
doing, look. I'm a little ticked off at what we saw last night with the Spartan basketball team, but, no one is going to be more ticked off than, Coach Izzo, so we're just going to keep it moving.
You think he looked mad? You think he was upset?
Well, yeah. Yeah, we got to get tougher.
Why do you think he was upset?
Because they didn't win.
So we had
losing sucks, Brian. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, it does. We had a rough week. We struggled this week. Lost 2 in a row, and all the questions now begin to permeate about this team and coach, and we're going through this evolution, through this cycle. We lost last night to Wisconsin, and earlier in the week to Rutgers. And, this is an annual reoccurrence when you talk about this time of the year and the way the fan base reacts to what's happening. And, this is part of the evolution and part of the process.
It may be part of the process, the evolution. Sometimes, he gradually gets better with teams in the past, and other times it's kind of a, starts off good, breaks down, and he builds them back up in March. And February right now, after having a pretty good January, it isn't looking too good. Need leadership. A lot of guys searching for answers. Guys scared to take shots. Being at that point guard spot, you got to be able to. You need leadership. You got to have guys that are going to be able to dish it, get guys in position, and everybody's waiting on somebody. I like what Malik Hall did right there. That was nice.
I mean, it's all about leadership, right? We're missing. Right now, the identity of this team is still to be figured out. I mean, when you talk about the staples of an Izzo program, an Izzo team, it's defense, it's rebounding, effort, toughness, and really that strong point guard, that senior laden, junior laden team. That's really the best coach teams are one that's led by their leaders, and it's still evolving. We're still a month out before the month of Izzo, and it's still evolving. And as the
month of Izzo.
Yeah, March. We all know that. There isn't a. I don't even know what March is. March is Izzo. That's all I know. It's been like that the last 46 years.
So that means everybody who's born in March, when they say, "When's your birthday?" You say,
"Yeah, my son, Izzo 16."
Izzo 16.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
That's all we've known. I don't know any differently since I was born. So.
It's
Izzo 16. So we're going, right now, we see what's happening. We go through the January, some February blahs. And
those long sleeves are delightful.
Thank you. You like the long sleeves? You like that? You like that? But, when we talk about, Coach said in his presser, right? He talked about getting tougher. We need to get tougher. And we need that, we need to be able – he took the blame, and in fairness to him, he took the blame, which I think is a little overstated, but, that's coach being coach. But, the rebounding, the defensive rebounding, the turnovers, and it just seems like, when you watch this team, when they dive for loose balls and the ball falls out of their hand and four guys gets the ball and it falls out of bounds, and they're afraid to make a mistake. And that's your typical Izzo team right now until – he grinds them and mashes them and molds them, and by March, they're your typical Izzo team. That's your typical Izzo team. So, the fan base is a little upset right now, but obviously...
You know what I keep hearing from the fan base?
Tell me.
I'll be honest with you. I keep hearing from the fan base that they're ticked off about these 2 scholarships being left open, unused. And when you think about that, with basketball not having 85 scholarships, what do they have, like 12, 13? It's not as many. Leaving 2 spots open, if you don't run the table, that's going to leave the door open to a lot of criticism and blah, blah, blah. And I keep hearing it. I don't know a ton about it. I don't even know that – I didn't even know that would be an option for a coach to not decide to use scholarships, or why that might be. Coach me up. Maybe you know something about it. But I hear it so much, it has to be talked about. Why would you leave 2 scholarship spots open on a basketball team?
One thing that I learned is that when a guy hangs 8 banners in the rafter and he's got a dozen Big Ten championships, you don't question that.
On those teams, did he leave 2 scholarship spots open?
I don't know that. But I understand, or I don't understand. There's he wants to win more than anybody, and so there's got to be a reason why he's done that. And in terms of depths, those can argue that it hurts.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I'm not saying that there's no reason. I'm asking what is the reason, so that I don't have to hear this. Shut everybody up and say, "Hey, this is I didn't find anybody that was worth it." Maybe that's the case. Maybe you didn't. You don't want to fill it with guys that you thought maybe weren't going to be able to make it for the long haul, because in this new transfer portal era, that's kind of the mantra, if you will. If guys show up, you don't have to be right on everybody, because if you miss, you don't have to hold them for 5 years like you did in years past. If you miss now, Brian, hey, you ain't missing for long, because there's somebody at another school who's prepared, and that's what high school and youth organizations are all talking about now, because that's the reality of college sports. If you're not ready to play when you get to school, then someone will be replacing you that is 21, 22 years old, maybe a freshman, but most likely a senior in college that will take your spot because of the way the world and the landscape is in college sports with the transfer portal?
Well, I think, we're not – they know a little bit more than we do, right, when it comes to that.
A ton more.
Yeah. So
it's not prognosticating. I'm asking the question.
I just think if you win the last 2 games, nobody's asking that question.
No, they're asking. They're asking when we're on the win. The winning streak.
One thing that I learned is that –
hey, listen, I love Tommy.
Yeah.
I love Tommy.
If you're in
this is not questioning him. I'm asking what the thought process is so that it can be out there.
I don't know the thought process. All I know is that
we trust him implicitly,
absolutely.
And we'll just go.
He's got to trust. Here's what I know: trust the process. And anybody who doubts the process has doubted them the last 20 years. Do not doubt the process. It is February. March is the month of Izzo.
There is no March. You just said.
Izzo, the month of March. That was renamed Izzo.
Yes.
Will come back.
There we go.
So I think when you look at, listen, here's one thing that I find about basketball. Your shooting can be off. All right, you're shooting and
it's definitely off.
Yeah, your schematics can be off. I mean, we didn't shoot the ball well against Wisconsin, but one thing that should never be off is your toughness, your defense, your rebounding, and your effort. That should never be off. And those have been the staples of a Tom Izzo program. And when you watched last night's game, you watched how in Rutgers' game how we got beat for loose balls, how we kept ball kept falling out of our hands, going out of bounds, how we would get beat for loose balls on, when we were protecting the defensive glass and offensive rebounds and getting pushed around underneath. Coach even mentioned that he said, quote, unquote, we got punked. And when you talk about toughness, effort, those kind of things, those are staples of a Tom Izzo program. And every year around this time, I don't know if you guys realize, you guys and girls, these same questions come up. Where's the identity?
Yeah.
Who's the leader? Who's the alpha dog? Where's the toughness? Where's the effort?
Those are the same questions going on in that locker room.
Right there. And so –
is Izzo washed?
And then this is, when we go through the evolution of the MSU, and
wow,
kudos to – I believe I am 3 West, 3 versus 3 champion. That I saw a tweet that I thought was absolutely right on point. It talked about the cycles of MSU basketball. So kudos to you. And where are we in this cycle, right? I mean, right now we're talking about, and this is so true because we, as a fan base, we go through this cycle, right? We're the inexplicable loss. Right now we're at the fan base meltdown / Izzo is washed. This is where we're at right now in the cycle. And this is a yearly reoccurrence of how the fan base feels. And, this is something that, will eventually we'll snap out of, and there will be beating an opponent, and then off we go. And this has happened for 20-some years.
I hope off we go. I do. I'm hopeful. I know that in Izzo we trust, and Izzo can get these kids. The problem I have is just that when you look at the great teams, great coaches that have the ability to endure the test of time. And Izzo's been at this for a long time. It's the adaptability. It's what Nick Saban's been able to do down in Alabama. Because everybody, when you have a younger guy that comes in with fresh ideas, you're ahead of the curve. And players relate to you. And then you have a guy that comes in and he does that, and then over time, a decade passed, 2 decades passed. Now you're in your 3rd decade. It's can you still relate to that day's kid, that day's player, whoever it is, guy or girl, because things have changed. I see it in our own households. with the way that children are raised now versus the way we were raised and in the years beyond that. So I know coaches are seeing it. You know, we're seeing it from the strength and conditioning side in football. It's a different makeup. You cannot reach them the same way that you reached kids 22 years ago. And, yes, I think that Tom Izzo is a guy that can do it. I think Tom Izzo can coach for another 10 years. It's not about him. I'm just saying, you know, are you up to the task? Are you able? Do you have the support around you to be able to, you know, hey, bring in guys that can identify with the players at the age. I mean, these guys keep on. It's like Groundhog's Day, Brian. You know that. 18 to 22-year-olds keep rolling in, but the one thing that stays constant is the head coach, and if he's the institution of a university like Michigan State in basketball, and it's not an easy task to be able to relate to them and get them to perform at an elite level like you need them to perform. And here we are in the dog days of February.
So let me ask you, who are the dogs of the team? Who are the alpha dogs?
That's what he's trying to find.
No, tell me, who's going to lead this team? Malik Hall?
Sometimes.
Okay. Gabe Watson? Gabe Brown? Who's going to lead the team?
I mean, Mel was yelling at him last night. Come on, Gabe. Come on, Gabe. Shoot it. I'm like.
So at some point, a leader or leaders have to emerge. Yeah, they have to emerge. I mean, they should, because if they don't, it'll be a quick exit in March.
That's right.
And so who is going to emerge as the alpha dog, the leader of this team? Who do you think?
Yeah, that Mateen Cleaves.
Because Coach will tell you the best teams that he has had are player-led teams.
Cassius Winston.
Yeah. So tell me who you think is going to emerge, because this team is leading. This team needs an identity, and they need somebody to step up. And where do you think we find that at, Jason?
Hey, look, man, you're going to find it on that bench minus less than 2 scholarships. That's where you're going to find it. It's somewhere there. But, you know, they have to find it within themselves. You have to be able to push the right buttons in order to trigger those young men. And it takes more work. You know, reading that book takes what it takes. Trevor Mowat. You know, that's an enlightening book. I'm going to tell you. That's the truth.
I'm going to tell you what.
You have to find the truth, Brian.
I'm going to tell you what.
Find it.
Malik Hall, in my opinion.
He's the guy?
He's the key. Yep, he is the key. Because
did you see that movie he put on them boys last night? He did too.
He's got that it factor. I'm telling you, he's got that it factor.
Came down the lane, poked on him, then he did that little back spin. Hey, 2 hands.
When Gabe
stared
hits
at him.
Shot, he is also as well. I mean, some leader has to emerge. If you think a freshman point guard who I believe is it could be one of the best point guards in the country, obviously freshman player of the year. It's very hard to win a championship, to any kind of championship, when you're freshman-led. And this is where the older players have to step up and to begin to lead this team. This is something that I think is absolutely critical, because Coach Izzo loves when players lead the team. This is what we need, and right now we're missing that. So we head into Indiana. We head into Saturday, Breslin. Keys to the game, I believe, obviously, we go back to when we are able to protect the defensive glass and rebound, we're able to limit the turnovers. I believe we are a top 5 team. This little rut that we've gone through is commonplace. Sometimes we go through it in January, sometimes we go through it in February.
Yeah.
But if we're going to get back on the winning track Saturday at the Breslin, in a hostile environment where the zone better be on its A game, we're going to have to do 2 things. Protect the ball, protect the defensive glass. Because if we don't do those 2 things, we're not going to win many more games. And I think, I think I'm stating the obvious. I mean, what do you think?
Protecting the ball and the defensive glass. I mean, they got to do a little bit of that. A whole lot of that, I'm sorry. But you got to find some leadership, man. 3:30. Tip-off, is that when it is on Saturday, Brian?
Yeah, 3:30.
3:30 on Saturday, man. Indiana's coming into town. You know, they've got one of our old coaches, don't they?
They do.
I mean, look, it doesn't get any easier.
The next head coach of Indiana. I think so.
Right?
I don't. Why else would he take that job? Don't you think so?
Wow. He played there.
I mean, I think so. He played there as an icon there. He's a good guy. Dane's a good guy. Dane Pipe, good people.
He was in Michigan State. Dane was in Michigan State, what, 10 years?
Long time.
Long time assistant for Tom Izzo, is now back in Bloomington where he grew up. Where actually he's from Clarkston, but played ball down in Bloomington, Indiana, and he's back there. That's where he met his bride, and then he started his family. And so he's coming back to East Lansing. He's going to have a spirited. There's some practices going on and down in Bloomington getting ready for this game because they want to win this one too. And Michigan State needs this. They have to win this. For me, this is one of those gut check games because you can't go on a 3-game slide, 2 of them being at home. You can't do that. No, in front of the Izzo. Izzo showed up, and they showed out last night. They were there. Izzo did their part. You didn't do your part. Mel Tucker did his part. Izzo did his part. Everybody around the team did their part except you, Brian, and they found a way to lose it. Because they didn't have the energy. It was something. It was something
in front
missing.
of my TV cheering. What do you mean?
You weren't cheering.
What are you talking about?
You I don't know. You didn't want
I was cheering.
You were nowhere to be found.
Let me ask you a question. How many games this year have we been out rebounded?
Every one of them.
I mean, we've been out rebounded by a lot, and I think that's rare. I mean, Izzo staple has always been out rebounding teams, and I just
doesn't make sense to me.
We're getting
I don't
muscle,
know why.
We're getting muscle under the glass.
Yeah,
and we got to get back to the Izzo basics, which
so you're gonna bring out them shoulder pads.
Oh yeah, the war drill
is
back in effect.
Yeah, now sometimes you got to get medieval on them.
War drill is back in effect.
Medieval.
And, because, if it was up to Coach Izzo, he'd be coaching football. So he's ready, but it's funny, this cycle, right? The fan base is irate.
If Izzo wasn't a head coach, what would he coach? What
if Izzo wasn't a head coach of basketball?
No, in football.
Oh, football? Oh, he'd be a D-line coach. No question.
D-line.
Izzo be a D-line coach.
Yeah, seat rolling.
Absolutely.
Man, shoot the hips, squeeze a quarter.
A game.
Oh boy,
we got to get him on the show. When he's in a good mood, we got to go. We got to get him on the show.
Yeah, but not this week.
No, hell no.
But in his own. Maybe in his own month.
If he came on tonight, I'd be under the bench, under the chair, hiding. He's not a happy camper, but
hey, man, we love Tom Izzo, man.
Coach is a legend.
He is a legend.
He is an absolute legend.
That's why they pay him the big bucks. They got to pay him some more.
On to the new hire.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mel Tucker.
Yes, sir.
Mel Tucker made it official today. New D-line coach, Marco Coleman. It became official today. How about that hired, Stray?
Hey, that's a big-time hire. You got a guy that has some NFL experience, played, how many years? 14?
Yep.
Marco? Out of Georgia Tech, Ramblin' Wreck, Georgia Tech.
Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, man. I like that picture he had with the Miami Dolphins when he's ripping that shirt off.
What kind of message does that send to recruits, Jason?
Just pecs. That's the message it sends.
Pecs?
Major peck.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's a huge message of peck.
That's it? Nothing else?
Look. I mean, that's look. In order to play good, you got to look good. This guy right here.
Totally agree. Listen.
Yeah, you subscribe to that, even though it's all fake. But it's all good. We love it.
With that. It's okay.
You got to look good.
Porcelain.
Yeah, porcelain.
No problem.
You got to look good.
It's all.
When you look good, you feel good. You feel good.
It's for the beach.
You play good. And look, I think that,
another power move.
You have,
by Mel Tucker.
It's a power move. You got him combined with Brandon Jordan, and listen. Courtney. You can't forget Kevin Vickerson as the analyst.
Kevin Vickerson.
Look at all that NFL experience just between Marco Coleman and Kevin Vickerson. Those two right there. That's like 27 years. Something crazy. Almost a quarter century worth of NFL experience there. Brandon Jordan. If we can equate all the experience of his clients
Wow.
We got about 500 years. Listen,
Think about
it's more
that.
than slavery.
We got
a whole lot of experience in the NFL with those three gentlemen right there.
So you
touching those players in that defensive line.
Brandon Jordan
room.
touching 195 or whatever NFL players.
Yes.
You got Kevin Vickerson, I believe, had 17 years in the league.
It's getting
Marco
higher.
Coleman, 14 years in the league, leading the D-line. Wow.
Wow
The
is
message
right.
that sends, you have 30-some years and hundreds of NFL players being trained. If you're a D lineman across the country,
How
do you
Where do you want to go? What-
How do you not come to Michigan State?
Huh?
Tell me.
Tell me where you want to go.
I want to know.
I need to understand this. Because where?
In America. Where in America will you have 31 years of NFL experience, a D-ends coach that's coached over almost 200 D-ends? Tell me in America if you're a D-line coach.
Most of them first round, first picks and all that.
If you're a D-line, high school or transfer portal prospect, you tell me, name another school in America that can get you to the NFL quicker than Michigan State University. Name it, and I'll walk off the set. That simple. What a great hire.
By the way, since if anybody is out there that doesn't understand the importance of that defensive line, when you look back at the history of modern football, Paul Brown, the guy who invented the forward pass, that guy said, if you want to start a new franchise, the two positions you must get are quarterback and somebody to rush the quarterback. So that defensive line room is extremely important as far as coaching and developing and getting guys to that next level. And that's exactly what we have at Michigan State.
If you're a Spartan,
There it is.
There it is.
Man.
If you're a Spartan and you're worried about the back
That's
end,
a Chippendale.
if you're worried. Coach Tuck, you heard of Chippendale. But listen, if you are a Spartan and you're worried about the back end of the secondary, the greatest way to protect the secondary, tell him, Jason.
Rush the passer.
Rush the passer.
Man, hey, you give that quarterback no time to think. He's under supreme duress. That's what's going to happen in the Super Bowl, by the way. I know everybody loves Joey Burrow. Listen, I love him too. I love the Buffaloes. We love him. But he can't. Hey, that offensive line being able to protect that defensive line, that brings to the other side. If the offensive line isn't good, but if you have superior defensive rush talent, it's hard to block them. It's hard because you can't double team everybody. Five linemen. If you block, if you're a great defensive lineman, you should never be blocked by one guy ever. So if you have 4 great defensive linemen, that means you would need 8 offensive linemen. You only allow 5.
If you,
this is math.
If you are,
I mean, why does everybody say this? Isn't that Ernest Biner?
No.
Yes.
No. That's
what's his name?
Pet Detective. What's his name?
Well, yeah. I'm not talking about
Ace Ventura.
Yeah, I know Ace Ventura. I'm talking about the guy on the left.
That's
not
idea.
him.
But I'll tell you what, if he's coaching our guys, Stray and I can play corner, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Right.
There'll be enough pressure on the quarterback. We'll be just fine.
You know his problems if we playing corner. So if we're going to be fine with me playing cornerback, that means we get into that. It's a lot of sacks.
Oh,
That's all we can say.
Yeah, let's shift to the recruiting. MSU football. Recruiting. 5 commits. 23 class ranked 5th in the country.
How about that?
23 class has got 5 commits, ranked 5th in the country, courtesy of Justin Thin and Corey Robinson, 247. When you look at the rankings, early on, Michigan State, Mel Tucker, Saeed Khalif, and the staff are making themselves known across the country. It's what they have done early on has been absolutely remarkable. When you look at the the latest commit has been Bo Edmondson, quarterback out of Texas. Yep.
Oh yeah.
And you watch some of the tape on Bo.
Being able to throw under duress.
He
knows what to do with it.
Absolutely.
He puts it on the money. Very accurate thrower.
He is
great mental makeup.
The latest commit.
I love the support he has. When he committed, I saw a lot of support from the Edmondson family on Twitter. MSU football Twitter has a position on the staff, and they want to step up for it, don't they?
They do. When you look at all the throws that he can make, I mean, Bo is one of those comes out of a program that's known for quarterback Lake Texas, I forgot what it was, but he's.
You want to go out there and start talking about Lake? You don't even know what man. Come on, man.
I know.
Why?
I get it.
Why?
We're not even going to talk about that. But when you talk about the rest of
he's got the best intentions. I just want you guys to know he really has the best intentions. He just can't remember.
I'm trying.
He's trying.
I'm trying.
But we got to do some more Jedi mind tricks, man. Go see Yoda.
We looked at all the rest of the class: Slack Jr., Parachek, Rescano.
Slack.
DePape.
Come on, man! Like you
look at all these young men.
Why are you going so damn fast, man? Slack. Detroit Martin Luther King.
We did.
He got a nice teammate too, from what I heard.
Oh, he got a
teammate. He's like one of them interior offensive linemen, which you should know about. Maybe I know a little bit about too.
Slack plays with an edge.
Yeah.
State champion.
Yeah.
Expected to play center at MSU.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
I love the twist.
Andrew DePape, 4-star, defensive end, can play the run.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent pass rusher. He's got great ankle bend, the coaches say. Plays with a high motor and toughness. You really got to like his where he's coming from, and just kind of the tape on him when we watch the tape. Back to Bo Edmondson, when we watch some of the throws that he made under duress, off his back foot, he can make all the throws, that we saw, courtesy of Justin Thin. We saw some tapes, watch some tape on Bo. He can really, really make all the throws. When you understand football and quarterbacks and what they're looking at and the way they're able to throw the ball, he can zing it.
Yeah,
and he's somebody that the
great footwork.
Staff believe is underrated. That his 3-star rating is underrated. So it's somebody that they're really excited about. And then you look at Brennan Parachek.
All against Texas 6A competition.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That matters.
Yeah, that quarterback.
6A is their top division in Texas. And we all know. I mean, that looks like university. That looks like a Big 12 football field they're playing on. That's his high school.
Great vision. Unbelievable vision. You talk about him, you look at
Kendrick
Rescano, 4-star running back, really runs with patience, a lot of power, explosive, makes guys miss. I mean, you look at the class they're putting together.
Man.
Right? Edmondson, Slack, Jr., Parachek, Rescano.
Man, you just run through these names, man. We got to go in order, man. Like DePape. Let's talk about DePape. When the last time you seen a guy in Iowa as good as DePape leave Iowa? Now that should tell you something right there.
Think about that.
Iowa, kids from Iowa that are good don't leave Iowa.
Think about that.
They don't.
You have a 4-star D end leaving Iowa.
I say he's a 5-star. I don't know. Everybody, some say 4, others say 5.
When you watch the tape on him and you look at the way he can play the run and the way he rushes the passer, and the way his bend and his motor and his toughness, you can make an argument that he's a 5-star young man.
Oh man, he's elite motor.
So when you look at what Mel has done, you got a kid from Iowa, Texas. You look at,
But before you go there, Brian, not only is he an elite player, he's a better recruiter. Because I'm seeing him everywhere.
Yeah.
DePape is he's up there. Hey, he's up there with Chief.
Yeah.
Him and
Chief
Chief are
propaganda.
on. Yeah. Chief propaganda. Listen, DePape is a worthy understudy, if you will, as far as treading in the deep waters. He's comfortable in the deep waters.
He is comfortable in deep waters.
And that's where you need to be in order to be a real Spartan, a Spartan dog. And DePape hasn't stepped foot on campus like as an official Spartan dog, but hey, that's one of them ones right there. You got to go ahead and knight him right now. DePape, you a Spartan dog.
We got 5 commits. We're
all of them
ranked 5th in the country.
Recruit
for the 23
commit
class.
And recruit. Build. What is it? What's that?
Battle and build.
Battle and build.
Battle and build and chop. That's it.
Battle.
When
build,
is the last time we have had in a recruiting cycle where we were ranked 5th in the country? When was the last time that's happened? Can you remember? Because one thing about Mel Tucker that he said, how we're going to close the gap on Ohio State. Recruiting.
It's talent.
Talent makes great coaches. And, we're going all over the country looking for young men.
That flight pattern you had last week.
That flight pattern, yeah. I mean, you got to give them credit. You absolutely got to give them credit. So we're excited. Black History Month, MSU, Michigan State football, and their historic role in desegregation honors Black History Month. Do we have that tape? Great video.
The 1966 Michigan State University football team won a national championship, but its most important legacy was its role in the integration of college football. Michigan State's efforts to integrate its football program began in 1913 when Gideon Smith joined the team. By 1966, the Spartan roster included 20 black players, a number unprecedented at a time when many major college football programs remained segregated. Michigan State University head coach Duffy Daugherty traveled the South and recruited players who were denied an opportunity to play in their home states. Those recruits included multiple All-Americans and featured Jimmy Ray, the first black quarterback from the South to win a national championship. Inclusion, an integral part of MSU's land-grant mission, was front and center during the Civil Rights era. In 1957, MSU President John Hanna was appointed to serve as the first chairperson of the Civil Rights Commission. In 1965, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke on campus and praised Hanna for his efforts, noting, "Time is neutral, and the time is always right to do right." MSU and Daugherty did what was right by creating the opportunity for change. But change would not have been possible without the 20 brave and accomplished black athletes who proved they could compete and win at the highest level. This was witnessed by 33 million viewers when number 1 ranked Notre Dame faced number 2 Michigan State in 1966. The game ended in a 10-10 tie and became known as the Game of the Century. MSU went on to be awarded its second consecutive national championship. In the seasons that followed, college teams from coast to coast began to fully integrate, and while much attention is paid to the 20 points scored in the Game of the Century, the impact that Michigan State and those 20 Spartans had on college football is far more significant.
I think that video is the historical context of that video is that most people don't understand MSU's role in desegregation and how many of the African-American players came up to the North to play under Duffy Daugherty in the 60s, and you saw all the great All-Americans. I think we had 7 first-rounders from the 60s. And the reason why we talk about this is that it's the role that Michigan State football has had in desegregation, and that, I tweeted earlier this week about just karma, completing your circles. Now we have an African-American head coach, and, Coach Tuck has said to me that he wants to win a national championship, and he wants to do it at Michigan State. How fitting would that be giving MSU's history when it comes to desegregation and integrating African American players. How fitting would that be for Mel to win a national championship at Michigan State?
I mean, that's what I would consider coming full circle, and it belongs there, and that's why we love Mel so much, because he understands that, the gravity of that. There hasn't been any African-American coach, by the way, to win a national title. So if Mel Tucker were to do it, let's say right now, he would be the first, obviously, and doing it at Michigan State is special because, I was speaking to a guy, we were talking to earlier today, Jeff Hockala, who said he took his son, I believe it was, to a doctor to get some work done, shoulder work, and the nurse, the doctor, was Mrs. Duffy, Daughtery. It was a daughter of Duffy Daughtery, and
wow,
he spoke to her. He pelted her with questions because he's one of those kind of guys. As he wanted to ask her questions like, "Wow, I mean, I'm talking to an iconic bloodline here," and she said, for as long as she can remember, she thought every male was 6'6" and black, whatever. But she talked to her dad, and she would hear him talk about Bear Bryant calling him and saying to him, "Look, I got these boys down here that I can't take, but Duffy, you got to come get them." And that was the 1965 and 66 teams at Michigan State. That was the talent pipeline. So in essence, Bear Bryant was helping recruit in the NIL era, pre-NIL era, for Michigan State, saying, "Hey, you take them." Michigan State took the high road and said, "Look, we'll take the brothers. We'll take the brothers up here in East Lansing," and they came. And guess what happened? He won natties.
Won a natty.
Two natties.
So let me ask you. So the legend has it that Joe Namath wanted to come to Michigan State, and Bear Bryant called Duffy Daugherty and said, "If you let me have Joe Namath, I will send you all my African American players." That's what I heard. That's what that's the story that was told to me.
I've heard a bunch of stories. This is the first time I heard a story
that is fascinating,
directly from the lineage of Duffy Daugherty.
That Duffy and Bear had an agreement, and really that spawned all of this. I mean, if you think about this is only 60 years ago. I mean, this isn't
not even.
It's not 200 years ago. It's 55 years ago. And really, I think that it's the historical context of, and it's not even about race. I think because it's more about the first of anything, right? If Mel Tucker, who we all love and we all want him to win, and who is a outstanding football coach who understands the portal and NIL in this era, who really feels it's important to deliver for Michigan State University and to win a national championship there, and to be the first African-American head coach to win a national championship, and to do it at Michigan State University, I think it's karma. I think it's completing your circle. I think it's something that, Michigan State University, given their past and their history, and Mel, I think it's a great, great story. And I actually have no doubt in my mind that he will hoist an natty, and regardless of what color he was, because I think he's a tremendous coach. But I think it's fitting that that it's something that we pay homage to, and that Michigan State University deserves.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it. This is not something that we can say, regard. No, listen, Mel Tucker is an African American coach in a society or in a profession where, let's be honest with what's going on in the NFL right now, and the lawsuit from Brian Flores. There is a huge disparity. Let's just be quite honest, everyone here. Listen, there's a disparity between the players that play on the field and the coaches who coach the players that are on the field when it comes to equity and race. It just is. These are facts. This isn't like an opinion. This isn't trying to make someone feel bad. These are facts. So when you say, is someone qualified to do the job or not qualified, I get that. That's true. You have to be qualified, but you can't tell me, out of a pool of, I don't know how many guys that are trying to get jobs, there's only 1 out of 32 or now 2 out of 32 that are good enough to be in position to get a head coaching job. And Mel Tucker is one of those. This is what we're talking about, going back to the contract negotiation for Mel Tucker. This is why he is so valuable, because absolutely the NFL, Roger Goodell and those guys would love to have a guy like Mel Tucker to come to the NFL. But we have him here in East Lansing. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. The ability for him to get to 11 wins with the level of talent that he had, NFL talent. Let's be 3 guys as of today have been invited to the NFL Combine. 3 on an 11-win team. Find me another 11-win team and look at how many guys were invited to the NFL Combine. You have to pay attention. That means the coaching level is rising above the talent. That's what it means. So for anyone to think that, it doesn't matter, it does matter. This does matter. This is February. I know, shortest month of the year, but it's Black History Month. Shortest month of the year. It is. Does anybody recognize that?
Are you saying Black History Month was purposely picked for the shortest?
Hey, listen. I'm just
is that
calling,
what you're saying?
I'm calling a spade a spade. It's the shortest month of the year. Black History Month.
And it's the
Thank
truth.
you. We appreciate that.
Okay, but listen, one thing about Mel that he's always said is that you need to recruit talent that can rise above coaching.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
If he can coach less than up to 11 wins,
yes,
what can he do with a plethora, which means a lot, a whole hell of a lot, of talent? What can he do with that? So, I mean, it'll be we're swimming in natties.
I mean, this isn't about race. It's about one thing about the locker room.
Well, it's Black History Month and ain't about race.
No.
It's not racial. It's not racial.
It's not racial. One thing about
it's not racial, but it is about Black History Month. We're talking
absolutely.
about that.
And
this is what we're talking about.
But one thing about the locker room, it transcends race. Like if the world could act like a football field of players, where nobody cares about the color of your skin, nobody cares about your religion, nobody cares about where you came from, nobody cares about the name on the back of your jersey, only on the front of your jersey, the world would be a better place. But we're not here to teach the world lessons. So.
I would have never, ever in my life known anything about kibbeh, shish kebab, hummus, or any of that if it wasn't for your mother.
God rest her soul.
God rest her soul.
Yeah.
I mean, it's learn. I mean, these are things that I love today. Right now, my kids eat that every day.
Yeah.
There's something that I would have never opened my eyes to. The culture. It's fantastic. Like, we talk about food a lot because that's one of the biggest differences in cultures is the food and the dress and the things, the language. I love it, man. Like, it's a beautiful thing in that locker room because there's no biases. Everybody judges you by how hard you work in that weight room. Are you getting yelled at on that field because you're not paying attention, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, the night before in order to be able to perform on the day of the practice or the game. And that's it. You academically do your thing. Do what you're supposed to do.
One thing I respected about you, Jason, is you never had any bias towards food. It didn't matter what race,
listen, I appreciate that more than anything you've ever said.
Where they're from.
Oh, man. But let me tell you something.
This guy
do.
ate it.
No. If we had we don't like that no seasoning stuff. That bland stuff.
He ate it.
No, I went no. Matt Beard. He knew better. Matt, he said, I ain't gonna take you. We can't go to my home for Thanksgiving because we doing the green bean casserole with no salt, no nothing, no seasoning. They don't have no Lorries. No.
You ate everything.
No, man.
It didn't matter.
Flozell had the burgers. They was grilling him and Don and them. They was grilling. They had the ribs, all that good stuff. You learned about that. You that bacon and pepperoni that you didn't partake in it, did you? You didn't partake in that, did you?
No.
Huh?
Too fattening.
Yeah, fattening.
Can we move on to
Walla?
Can we move on to Harbs, Ann Arbor? What's going on down there?
What's going on in Ann Arbor?
Vikings turned down Jim Harbaugh.
They did?
Gaddis resigns.
Oh, my
Their
God.
OC, Bros Award winner. Mike McDonald takes a job back as a DC back to the Ravens, back to John Harbaugh. And
What did Gaddis right, man?
I think we got a live look in Ann Arbor right now. Do we have one?
Oh, there it is.
There it is, right
That's
there.
Main Street.
Right there. Main State.
That's right by that dispensary.
A live look in.
Hey, that's by the dispensary on Main Street, man. If you get behind that smoke,
That's a
there's going to be a lot of pizza sales.
Alex, can we read what Gaddis said in his farewell statements right there? You know, Gaddis, his comments were very interesting. He said, and I quote, "Fellas, it's with a broken heart I write this. I am resigning my position here at Michigan to go to another university. I have given everything that I have to you guys in Michigan. I sacrificed so much personally to stand in the fight with each of you, which I would never take back. Unfortunately," this is very interesting, "the past few weeks has told a different story to me about the very little appreciation I have here from the administration." And he went on and on and on. Jason, what do you what do you make of that statement?
Man, that's somebody that's pissed off, man. He's hurt. It was a lot that went on. And I'll tell you, you know, when you have a coach, and let's back up a minute. You have recruits that sign with a program, number one. They typically sign with a coach because they feel like he's a father figure. He's
So
a
if he
person that's
doesn't
going to be
interview
there.
on National Signing Day, that's a problem?
No, if he doesn't interview, that's great. But if he does, that can be hurtful. That can. And when you know, look, nobody's trying to fault Jim Harbaugh for living out his dreams, because I said that when he got hired. I said, look, this guy got to the Super Bowl and lost to his brother. How do you never return to that? This is different than Nick Saban trying his hand in the NFL and not having the success due to a couple of quarterback miscues, or, you know, other great college coaches. Look at what happened with Herbs. Herbs down there.
What are you doing, Herbs? What are you? We found out what you're doing.
Herbs doing too much down in Jacksonville. So, you know, he's still going to be all right going back to college whenever he clears his head and his heart and he comes back to college football, which we all know you're going to do, Herbs. So when you look at Harbaugh, he had success, wild success in the NFL. There's not a lot of coaches that get to the NFL Super Bowl. That just doesn't happen. He got there and then went to college. So you knew it was inevitable that he was going to try his hand again. Now I know, you know, the Vikings did not offer him the job, and he came back to Ann Arbor, and he swears that he's not going. But like, let's be real.
Come on, Stray.
Come on now.
Come on.
You telling me
they spun
next
this,
year if somebody
they spun
comes
this
after
as,
him?
He told the recruits, he told the coaching staff, told him take all the week off. I mean, come on, man. You lost both coordinators, and I'm not saying this because it's the University of Michigan. Really, like, there's no defending this. You can't spin you wanting an NFL job on signing day and make it like when you lost your OC and your DC and act like everything's fine, everything's dandy, I want to come back. Then the media reports and the way they wrote them were absolutely comical. Harbaugh interviews and then calls the AD, says he wants to come back. Nobody talks about if he got offered the job or didn't get offered the job. And then they say that sources at U of M say he was elated to hear the news. Nobody said he was elated.
It was that blue wall again.
Yeah. They were elated to get the news that he was staying, or they were elated just to hear the news? It's the play on words that upsets every Spartan. And maybe it shouldn't upset every Spartan, but when they talk about the blue wall, like the way this was spun by the media, the way that it was handled, quite frankly, was malfeasance. I mean, you can't you can't cut it any other way. When the coach of the Big Ten champions, when he goes and interviews for an NFL job on National Signing Day, he loses the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. There is no spin to that. There's no spin to that. And the Broyles award winner leaves and says that he's not appreciated. You can't spin that. You can't spin that. And if it happened at Michigan State, you can't spin it.
No.
And for there to be a blind eye turned to it. And then Braylon tweets out about what's going on at the University of Michigan, because players are not happy. Coaching staff's not happy. Mike Hart's on his way out the door. You can't.
I heard he wanted to be the head coach.
You can't hide any of that. I mean, you just can't. We've all had our issues. Every university has. But the spin that goes on over there blows my mind away. And I give them credit. I give them credit for the spin.
I don't know how they pull it off.
I wish we could pull it off like that. I wish we knew how to spin it like that. I wish we had a Mitch Albom writing fake articles. I wish. But like this is.
You got to go down to the ice cream shop with him, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is like crazy. When Mel, there's a rumor about Mel going to LSU, and he doesn't address it. There's 7 articles written about what a distraction he is. And then when Harbaugh goes on National Signing Days to interview, and comes back and says he wants to stay here, they write all these glowing articles about what Michigan meant to him. And I mean, I just think, feed us. We'll take it.
I mean, what is?
Just keep feeding us. Yeah. We'll take it. No problem. We love it.
It's unbelievable.
We'll keep doing it. We'll keep taking it. And we'll keep chopping. That's what we'll do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Brian Mosallam, your co-host, alongside my co-host, the Honorable Jason Strayhorn. You are watching Inside the Locker Room. Thank you. Good night. And
God
go
bless.
Green.
Go.
He stumped him. He stumped him. He stumped him. Nice block. Wow. Great penetration. Surge through the middle of that. Michigan State first and goal. Touchdown. Yeah. Outstanding.